Roadrunners are back on the road and back in the Big 12. Manhattan, Kansas, the Little Apple awaits. Welcome to UTSA Football Insider. It's week 3 of the college football season, and UTSA continues its arduous non-conference slate with the first ever trip up to Kansas State. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll break down the Wildcats with head coach Frank Wilson and the voice of the Roadrunners, Andy Everett. Plus, learn more about seniors Les Maruo and Larry Stevens. But let's start with a look back at week 2 against Baylor. Over 42,000 fans turned out for the home opener, the second largest crowd in UTSA history. Now, Baylor did jump out to an early lead, but the Roadrunners responded behind a balanced offensive effort. BJ Daniels broke free for a team-high 90 yards on the ground, including a huge second effort to get into the end zone in the waning seconds of the first half. And in the fourth, Cordell Grundy connected with Blaze Moorhead for their first career touchdowns. Now let's head over to our Coach's Corner for Frank Wilson's thoughts on the home opener. So with week 3 of the college football season about to begin, pleased to welcome in head coach Frank Wilson. Let's talk about that impressive crowd. 42,000, more than 42,000 on hand. They say it's the second biggest crowd in UTSA football history. What did that feel like when you were running out there?
Fantastic. You get a chance to take a team to a field, or even before that through a spirit walk. And you just look at the excitement and the jubilation of a crowd, and then you look into the eyes of our players, and they recognize how grateful, you recognize how grateful they are, how thankful they are to have that type of support, and you're just thrilled to be able to give that to them, to share that moment with those young men. And when we came out of the tunnel to start the game, the crowd was electric. I mean, it was as loud as any venue I've been in before, and it's just gratifying to give our kids big-time college football, a great atmosphere. I could not say thank you enough to the city of San Antonio, to our alumni, to our student section, and everybody who was there to be a part of it, as well as our military service units as well.
We saw an impressive surge on offense in the second half, and after just the one touchdown in week 1, what did you take away from the offense in game 2?
We were able to mount drives together, double-digit number drives, 10-play drives, 11-play drives, which is huge because it speaks to the discipline of a football team to consistently do something as they work themselves down the football field. It was good to see us get a throwing touchdown in. It was happy for Blaze Moorhead, as well as Cordell, his first throwing touchdown, and then to see BJ Daniels, run determined to get hit at the 2-yard line and drag defenders, just showed his determination, as well as our entire offensive unit.
We know there's a lot of depth and a lot of these young guys now getting their first cracks, like a BJ Daniels and all those guys behind him. So with this youth, are you encouraged by the progress they made from week 1 to week 2 and now how the leap can continue?
The irony is we have new personnel, players, in so many positions, as you just alluded to. But we also have a new offensive coordinator, a new quarterback coach, a new offensive line coach, a new defensive coordinator, a new special teams coordinator, and we've lost in excess over 7 coaches. So we have new players and new coaches that have to work together, that sometimes it takes a little time for us to get our chemistry going. But I'm pleased with the direction that we're in, not content by any means, not happy, not jubilant that we played better. But I am happy that we're making strides in the right direction.
You're about to head up to Manhattan, Kansas for the first time.
Yeah.
What do you know about Bill Snyder's program?
Legendary. He's a living legend. One of the few guys that has withstood the test of time in our sport. You think about guys like Bobby Bowden, like Eddie Robinson, like Joe Pa, who were at places for such a length of time. It's 20-plus years. That he's been at Kansas State and consistently have filled a quality football team, have a lot of admiration and respect for the job that he does. A well-coached football team, probably the most complete football team we've seen so far this year.
Roadrunners and Wildcats coming up on Saturday. Coach, thank you. We appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. A little more on that performance from BJ Daniels. The sophomore has now broken out in the first 2 games of the season, already racking up 114 yards rushing after seeing just limited time last season. Now Daniels has also taken advantage of his carries at the goal line with a touchdown in both games. It could mean a big day for the UTSA ground game. Kansas State allowed 384 yards rushing last week. The Wildcats defense is anchored by defensive end Reggie Walker, an all-conference selection from last season. A little more on Kansas State coming up later in the show, but first, a little more on UTSA and Baylor. Andy, you witnessed it firsthand. The change from week 1 to week 2, what do you think of this offensive improvement?
Well, certainly there was a lot of progress, but I think it's like we've talked about. The offensive line, 4 of the 5 players have never played college football up until the Arizona State game. The tight ends are new. Some of the wide receivers are new. The quarterback's new. And in the Baylor game, B.J. Daniels got his first start. So you've got 8 or 9 guys that have never really played together, plus an offensive coordinator, new terminology, all of those things.
I think there had been a lot of talk about B.J. Daniels, and he was buried behind a couple of guys last year. How encouraging to see that, him taking advantage of his start like that.
Well, I think we're starting to see size and speed, and maybe one of the bigger running backs UTSA's had. And I've seen this evolution from David Glasgow to Jarvion Williams to Jalen Rhodes, now B.J. Daniels. And each step they get just a little bit better, a little bit more talented. And with the experience that B.J.'s going to have, you know the skill set's there. That experience will certainly pay off for him.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about the crowd. You're right up in the thick of it with your radio booth. Have you ever experienced a crowd like that? I know second largest crowd, but that atmosphere, what was that like to experience?
Well, I think that it was an atmosphere that was unique. We haven't seen that many people there in a long time. I think the Oklahoma State game in 2013, the Texas State game in 2012, and certainly the first game back in 2011 were similar.
So they'll be back at home next week against Texas State, probably a similar, not as large crowd, but I'm sure it will be hyped.
Well, I think Texas State will bring a lot of people, and that crowd was low 40s or high 39,000 or so back in 2012.
Before that, though, the road game at Kansas State, what's your initial impression of the Wildcats?
Well, they've got Bill Snyder, and he's won 65% of his games when he was at Kansas State. And to tell you how good that is, the previous coaches collectively only won 35% of their games. They were the laughingstock of the Big 8 back in the Big 8 days. Early on in Bill Snyder's career, they struggled in the Big 8 and Big 12, but once he got that rolling, he's really had something special there for a long time. They may not be as good this year as they have been in past years as to where they may rank in the Big 12, but they're still a Big 12 team. They've got Big 12 talent, and he's a great coach, and he'll have them ready to play for sure.
Will definitely be an interesting matchup on Saturday. Andy, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's perhaps fitting that the week the Roadrunners head up to Kansas, we speak with a Kansas native. More on the interesting journey of senior linebacker Les Maruo when we come back. Welcome back to UTSA Football Insider. Senior linebacker Les Maruo spent 2 years at Hutchinson Community College, which has turned into a pipeline for D1 and NFL talent. Here's Maruo on his journey to UTSA.
It was very, very competitive. You know, I played with a player like Lakel Bass that used to go here, former linebacker here. I played with a player like Alvin Kamara. He played at the Saints, and he was the Rookie of the Year last year. And I played with a lot of SEC bounce-back players, and it was very, very competitive. You know, I grew up in Kansas, Wichita, Kansas. I went to high school in Goddard High School. And, you know, it was just, you know, I didn't have that many offers out of high school, so I just went through that JUCO route.
How do you think that quality of football prepared you for when you got here at the D1 level?
I wasn't really expecting to go D1. You know, I was more expecting more like D2, or, you know, I was just going to go with the flow. But once I saw all my friends go D1, like my linebacker that I play with, he played at Arkansas State, Kyle Wilson. Now he's a free agent at Philadelphia Eagles. So after that, you know, that really opened up my eyes, and I was like, I can do it too, you know.
What brought you to UTSA? What did you like about the program, and why did you decide that you wanted to come play football here?
You know, Coach Nethery, you know, he left a while ago, but he recruited me out of Hutchinson. And then, you know, Lakel went to Hutch, and he went to UTSA. I heard a lot of good things about UTSA. You know, the Alamo Dome was really, really cool. And yeah, like he just told me that, you know, we could both, you know, have a good career at UTSA, and just, it's a great city, and just have a good time here, you know.
So you were behind guys like Lakel and like Josiah on the depth chart.
Yes, sir.
What did you learn from firsthand watching them go through games the last couple of years?
You know, I sat out a couple of years because I was injured. I had a thing called compartment syndrome, and I had surgery on both my calves. And unfortunately, after I had my first surgery, a week or two later, I had to get another surgery because I had internal bleeding on my left calf, so I had to get another surgery. And, last season, a lot of people don't know, but I played with a torn meniscus the whole season, and I had surgery right after the season. So, I dealt with a lot of injuries. Playing behind players like Josiah and Lakel really helps because, they're very wise and they know the game of football, and they're hardworking, very humble.
How excited were you this year when, spot was opened up, Lakel had moved on, and you had won that spot out of training camp?
I just kept my patience, and, time is here, and when that spot opened up, I just worked really hard. In the spring, I got the award for most outstanding effort award, and, just that hard work and all that just really paid off, and,
As your senior year progresses here, what do you want your impact and this senior class's legacy to be on the program?
I really want to win the conference and win our first bowl game for sure. We went to a bowl game 2 years ago, but I wasn't really part of the team. I was injured. I got to go to the bowl game, but I didn't really play. I was just on the sideline. So, now I'm starting, so I just want to be a part of, a legacy to where I want to win the conference and win the bowl game and, have a ring on my finger that I can keep for the rest of my life, Now,
the Roadrunners will start that chase for a conference crown on September 29th against UTEP. Now, have you ever wondered, though, how these guys get pumped up before a game? What's the go-to on their playlist? Here's Valerie Lopez with an important musical debate in our latest Off the Gridiron segment.
Drake or J. Cole?
Man, that's a hard one too.
I'll go Drake. I feel like he has a lot more variety as well.
Drake.
What's your favorite Drake song?
God, I'm horrible with song names.
I don't listen much to J. Cole, but I like Drake.
J. Cole, he more depressing to me than anything. Like Drake at least has some upbeat there once in a while.
What's your favorite Drake song?
Right now, Sandra's Rose.
You have to sing at least a little bit.
Now tell me how you love it. You at the top when everything happened right above it.
Drake or J. Cole?
J. Cole.
And why is that?
Because J. Cole's lyrics, just like his views on the world and life, are just, I agree with it. I really like his music.
I'm gonna go with Drake.
Really, you like Drake?
Yeah, I like Drake. He have a lot of great songs. He makes some great music, but you can't neglect him or doubt him just because you might not like him as much. But he's a great artist.
As far as just feel good music or easy to listen to music, and he's got a lot of different moods.
So you have to know one of Drake's songs.
Oh yeah.
Can you give the fans a little preview of your singing skills?
She used to call me on my cell phone. Late night when she needs my love.
It's a dilemma, but really no wrong answer for that one. Up next, find out why senior Larry Stevens is the embodiment of the college football dream. That's when UTSA Football Insider returns. Welcome back to UTSA Football Insider. If you haven't already, get your tickets for the rest of the season at goutsa.com/tickets. There you'll find your go-to source for single game tickets, season tickets, plus a mini plan option. It's everything you need to know about how to make your game day experience at the Alamo Dome an enjoyable one. The Roadrunners are back home Saturday, September 22nd. Now, senior Larry Stevens began his career as a walk-on for UTSA, and life as a walk-on can be a tough grind. But through hard work and an unrelenting positive attitude, he earned the respect of his coaches and teammates. That, in turn, led to a moment that Stevens will never forget.
I noticed that our camera crew was in there, and I was like, oh, we must be getting surprised to go somewhere, because normally we get surprised to go on trips and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, that sounds pretty fun. And so as I'm listening to Coach, I just see him talking about players, and he's talking about, well, there's one guy that really works hard, and he's just a good role model for the team.
Further ado, I'd like to introduce. Now I'm back and not ashamed to cry.
And he's like, he's been working hard since day one, since he's been here. And then all of a sudden he plays a highlight tape. And I'm thinking like, it's just a football highlight tape like, of our team. And so I see me one time, like, okay, that's me. It's me again and again. And then finally he goes, we're gonna put Larry Stevens on scholarship. And it was just the greatest moment. I put a huge smile on my face. And what really got to me was seeing my teammates hug me, get so excited for me. And it was just a life-changing experience.
It was easy to place him on scholarship. He does the job at times no one else wants to do. And here Larry goes and says, I'll do it, coach. There's no job too small, there's no job too big. I am a team guy. He's an ultimate team player.
Oh, my parents were so happy. As soon as it was done, I called my mom, told her what happened, and she was crying on the phone. Made me want to cry, but I didn't. But she was very happy, and she knew it was something I deserved, and so she was just so happy to see her son finally get what he wanted.
Larry Stevens came to UTSA as a preferred walk-on, and even though nothing was guaranteed, the chance to play college football in his hometown was too good to pass up.
It was an awesome thing to stay at home and just be close to my parents as well, because I remember I told my brother that no matter what, I'm going to try to stay here so I can watch you grow up, because I know he really looks up to me as well. So coming to UTSA was really a dream of mine.
Stevens has the scholarship and a dream of playing in San Antonio. But despite the change in circumstance, his tireless work ethic hasn't changed since the day he arrived on campus.
Every day, it's hard work for me. Every day I always tell myself, no matter what, I'm going to work hard so I can not only be a good player for myself, but a good role model for the people that are coming up. So for the freshmen that are here and the freshmen that are here to come, they can see my film and say, you know what, I have a chance to make it. I have a chance, if I'm a walk-on, I have a chance to get a scholarship. I just got to work hard and keep persevering, and one day I'll get rewarded for what I'm doing.
Just a selfless player in every right and very deserving of, and even more so, I couldn't even reward him enough. The scholarship don't do justice for what he exemplifies for our football team.
The fifth-year senior has been a mentor and friend to a myriad of teammates, and he hopes that spirit carries on to the next crop of Roadrunners.
You know, I just want to leave a reputation of that guy was a great player, not only a great player on the field, but he was a great teammate. So even if he wasn't in the game, he was on the sideline cheering his teammates on. If he wasn't even on the field, he was just on campus. You know, he's always that guy smiling, saying hi to everybody. Everybody always sees me as, you know, the guy that's always smiling, always happy, no matter what's going on. And so, you know, I try to keep a positivity throughout the team and throughout the players I see. So that's one reputation I want to leave after I leave here.
Time to get back to the on-field business at hand. A Kansas State breakdown ahead, plus why it's one of the more important weeks of the season for Conference USA. Welcome back. On Saturday, the Roadrunners and Wildcats meet for just the second time, a rematch of that 2015 meeting in the Alamo Dome. Now, Kansas State has already endured a shaky start to their season. The Wildcats trailed by 12 to South Dakota at home in Week 1 before posting a shutout in the second half and rallying for the 27-24 win. And last week, they couldn't get on track against Mississippi State. Here's a look at the Wildcats' loss to the Bulldogs. And the Bulldogs running back Kylan Hill gashed the Kansas State defense to the tune of 211 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, including this 28-yard dash late in the second quarter. And the game was never close once Mississippi State broke a 3-3 tie with 21 unanswered points. Now, Kansas State's lone touchdown happened in the third quarter. Skylar Thompson with a 23-yard pass to the back corner. Thompson had just 86 yards passing, though, and the Wildcats offense was limited to 213 total yards. But the Wildcats have been a consistent winner under their legendary coach, Bill Snyder. Heck, their stadium's even named after him. Snyder has led Kansas State to 8 straight bowl games, including double-digit wins in 2011 and a 10-0 record to start the 2012 season, which also included the program's first ever #1 ranking in the BCS Bowl. UTSA Kansas State isn't the only matchup, though, between a Conference USA and Power 5 team this weekend. 5 other teams in the conference will face a Power 5 opponent, which means a golden opportunity for CUSA to show off on the national stage. Now, all these matchups are on the road. Through 2 games, North Texas has established itself as the team to beat in the West Division. The Mean Green are 2-0 for the first time since 1994 after a 58-16 win over the University of the Incarnate Word. That also comes off the heels of a 46-23 opening week win over SMU. And last week, North Texas racked up over 600 yards of total offense, including 418 yards and 4 touchdowns from preseason Offensive Player of the Year, Mason Fine. Now, North Texas faces Arkansas, and it's a Razorbacks team coming off a road loss at Colorado State. The Roadrunners are on the road this week, but they return home next week to face Texas State. And to get ready for that one, and to relive one of the biggest home crowds in program history, here's Valerie Lopez with a look back at the scene from last Saturday.
I'm here at the first UTSA home game of the season, and it is a packed house here tonight. Let's go ahead and talk to a few of the fans to hear about their fan game experience.
To me, the fan experience, I am so excited because I'm here with my sons, and they are students at UTSA, and just being here, I feel like we're part of a family. I love it. It's so exciting.
We love football. We're a football family, and you know, Texas football is nothing better.
I think the games and the food and everything, it was just like community oriented, and I really enjoyed it.
Since the football program started, it's changed dramatically, and it's just grown. I love it.
There's just so much to do and so much to watch, and so much spirit with everyone that's out there.
Expect fun, family atmosphere, and best of all, the university experience.
Our thanks to Valerie for that piece and for her weekly contributions to the show. That will do it for us, though. Thanks go out to Frank Wilson, Andy Everett, as well as Les Maruo and Larry Stevens. It's game time. Roadrunners and Wildcats meet for the second time. Should be a good one. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next week.